Hello, good Monday evening, everyone. It is 21 News Chief Meteorologist Eric Wilhelm here. It's weather for Weather Geeks. We dodged a bullet weather-wise. Today, yes, we had some gusty thunderstorms in some spots, but we largely avoided severe weather in most of our viewing area. Here's a look at the storm reports related to the National Weather Service offices regionally today. And as you can see in most of our viewing area, absolutely nothing in terms of wind damage or large hail today. We did have some reports of wind damage from Crawford County up into parts of Erie County and up into southwestern New York as well. Also around the I-80 corridor over closer to Du Bois. A few problems with gusty thunderstorms over there. We actually had a brief tornado warning in extreme northern Mercer County for a time mid-afternoon today. I had to get on the air for about 5 minutes with that. It was for only a few miles of extreme northern Mercer County, and then the circulation moved up into Crawford County. That cell did not end up producing a tornado, of course, but there was enough circulation on the radar that we did see a brief tornado warning. All right, so the rainfall totals over the last 24 hours, thankfully not as heavily generally as what we had at times late last week. If we zoom in on our local area here, a few spots in Columbiana County, especially down towards Route 39, Salineville, on east, some of the areas that unfortunately had some heavy rain late last week. We saw over an inch, radar estimated anyway, in some parts of southern Columbiana County, but once you get north of Lisbon, closer to Columbiana, amounts pretty modest there. Another kind of maxima over here closer to Newton Falls, a little over an inch there, and some localized up to 1 inch amounts, in some spots, particularly maybe southeastern parts of Lawrence County, closer to Elwood City. Those were some of the higher totals that we saw today. I'm recording this video at 7:47 p.m. and kind of the last hurrah of the raindrops tonight. The severe weather threat has ended. The severe thunderstorm watches that were out earlier have been dropped. And yes, we'll be fair game to see a shower here in the next hour or two, but that should be about it for the night. And good news for midweek, if you're not a fan of the muggy weather, here come the drier dew points. Our dew point locally still in the lower 60s, but check out Detroit at 52, Indianapolis at 50, Chicago, a delicious 45-degree dew point early this evening. And yes, that drier air is, of course, coming our way for midweek. Now, with the moisture near the ground, we've had a fair amount of rain of late, and the sky trying to clear tonight. There could be some patches of fog as Tuesday gets underway. I don't think it's a widespread thing, but you might run into some lower visibilities in a few spots in your travels, especially in areas that maybe picked up more than, I'll say, a half an inch worth of rain today. You might have a pretty good chance of seeing some fog as Tuesday gets underway. But look what happens to the dew points. We start out in the upper 50s to around 60. Dew points will probably drop into the upper 40s, lower 50s before the day is through. What a great afternoon we have coming up on Tuesday. Again, we lose any fog early, sunshine, a few fair weather clouds, bright sunshine for Wednesday. There could still be some wildfire smoke discernible in the atmosphere. I don't think it's as thick as it was at times over the last several days, but maybe there's a little haze in the air during midweek. But otherwise, what a very nice day coming up on Wednesday. And we'll make it 3 dry days in a row coming up on Thursday. Warm front lifts through, and dew points will start coming back up. I think those dew points will probably return to the 60s on Thursday. It'll be a pretty steamy summer day coming up on Thursday. All right, so now we get to talk about the bad news. As we head towards the weekend, once again, the atmosphere is going to try to moisten up. This visit of the drier air doesn't last very long because the atmosphere becomes pretty, moist by the end of the week and especially into the weekend. Now, it's only Monday. Does this mean that we're looking at a washout either Saturday or for Father's Day on Sunday? At this point, I wouldn't say that, but I think each day has a decent chance of seeing some raindrops, maybe some thunderstorms as well. And so if you have outdoor plans with Dad or Grandpa this weekend, make sure you're checking the forecast. And showed this graphic on Weather for Weather Geeks maybe a couple weeks ago, or maybe even more recently than that. But when you look at the calendar view of precipitation each day so far in 2025, look how many wet, inclement weekends we've had. It's hard to find a zero on back-to-back days, Saturday and Sunday in other words, on the weekends. There was one dry one here in January. We're not going to count traces, so we had to go to March then. Tail end of March, that last weekend of March was dry. We had a couple here in April, right there. And then May, we had no completely dry weekends. And of course, this past weekend was dry Saturday, but we had the rain in most of the area on Sunday. So it's been tough sledding over the weekends. Now, as we look ahead to the longer range, I think this is going to be a pretty active pattern. It looks like a pretty warm pattern. But this is today's 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook from the Climate Prediction Center, showing pretty decent odds of a wetter than average outcome. This covers basically the 15th through the 19th. So, if you're tired of the rain, this probably is not going to be, your pattern, but if you like the warm weather, I think you'll be in luck because I don't see any sort of abnormally cool June weather coming anytime real soon. Make it a great rest of your Monday night. We'll have more updates on the short and longer range coming up during midweek on Weather for Weather Geeks. I'll see you back here on Tuesday.